allocation procedure. I'll read it just in case. There is a location plan of the exits and the assembly point. Wrong. On hearing the evacuate signal, please carry out the following. Exit the building by your nearest safest exit. All visitors report to assembly point G. All staff report to their designated assembly point on Woolpack Way car park. Do not leave the assembly point for any reason until told to do so by the incident controller or fire brigade officer. Item number 2 is apologies for absence, but I think that's the most. Item number 3, disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests. Item number 4, public participation.
No questions, Chief.
Item number 5, minutes of the executive board held on the 24th of November. Copies herewith to be approved. Proposed by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Ridley. All those in favour? Thanks very much. Item number 6 is the budget proposals, council tax and tax base 2026-27. This report presents the general fund revised budget for 2025-26, the original 26-27 budget and medium-term financial plan, including the provisional local government settlement for 2026-27. There were changes to the final settlement that have affected our expected grant for the 27-28 and 28-29. The amendments have been made to the MTFP and are tabled tonight for completeness. The report also presents council tax base and options for council tax increase for discussion and final approval at council on the 25th. The report also presents both general fund and housing revenue account final capital proposals as the capital programme 2026-27 to 2028-29. It didn't help because what's the right word? Well, got it wrong again with the they just forgot that county councils are in receipt of non-investment rates, and they forgot that, so then had to recalculate. So our interim director of resources has been a little hectic over the last few days trying to sort out that mess. Again, anybody got any comments, queries, questions? Silent. Well, I'll move that then from the chair, seconded by Councillor Simmons. All those in favour? Any against? Abstentions? Thank you. Item number 7 is the annual governance statement 2024-25. The annual governance statement sets out the arrangement the council has put in place for the governance and effective exercise of its functions, including arrangements for the management of risk. These ensure that its business is conducted in accordance with the law and that public money is used economically, efficiently and effectively. Any comments, questions, queries? Councillor.
I'm just trying to find where it is, but on page 46 is a reference to PSI accreditation. I'm not sure what that's at. Reference to PSI.
It's the payment card industry.
Oh, PCI.
PCI, it should be.
I don't wonder if it's PCI.
Yeah, and pleased to let councillors know that we are accredited.
Thank you.
Councillor Simpson.
Thank you. Recommendations now.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Simmons. All those in favour? Any against? Abstentions? That's carried then. Item number 8 is the business continuity management. The report asks members to approve a new business continuity management policy, which has been drafted with the help from the sub-regional resilience team. The DCM policy sits alongside the emergency management plan, which members approved at our last meeting. For information, the report also advised members of a number of other related documents that have been progressed, including the critical services template, which guides services in the production of revised DCM plans. The report also details the work in two of the priority critical services, refuse and IT. Members are asked to note that given the nature of some of these plans, the detail is contained in item 15, which is within the confidential section, which is agenda. Councillor Watson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm really pleased to see this because many of you will have heard me regularly bang on about business continuity in our assurance process. I'm really kind of pleased to see this. A couple of questions. One, I probably would have expected to see the whole report in P&C because the document itself is marked sensitive and yet it's in the public element of it. So probably would have expected to see that. And from a business continuity perspective, I think it's a really good step. Don't think we're quite there yet because there's some bits in it from it talks about the business continuity in the plan, but who is what is, because Sod's Law, it's not going to happen Monday to Friday 9 to 5 when everyone's at work. It'll happen out of hours. What's the on call? Who's the incident manager, etc. When it's not the person who's allocated in that. So I think it's really positive. I just think we could do with a bit more about the what ifs and what does the policy and that look like and who's going to do it, I guess. Check.
Thank you.
Chair, instead of just questions on, I mean, it's up to the board if it wants to designate it as private confidential to so designate it. I put the line where I put the line, but if you think the whole thing should be in confidential, that's a decision you can make.
Councillor Simpson.
Tempting as it is to shove it into P&C now, I think it's perhaps a little bit late. But I think in future I would prefer see these in P&C because they are fundamentally confidential, sensitive documents. Like my colleague, I am delighted that this has got here, but I certainly don't see this as being the end of the road. I think there's more to do here, and I think our ambition should actually be business continuity to critical systems. But I am impressed that we did this all on our own. We didn't nick this template from anywhere else.
It's not a claim I've made, yeah. I found a commentary somewhere.
No, I found two solid horses.
It's worth once of commentary in your hand. Like what I'm going for his.
Okay. Councillor Simmons.
Just again, we've talked about this quite often in resources through internally a few times. Can you just confirm in terms of those outstanding items, does this satisfy some or any of those? You don't necessarily have to answer that now, but if we could just see which ones it ticks off the list, that would be really good. But one thing we did mention when we were speaking about it earlier was maybe a part. I mean, generally, again, it's mostly there. There's a few bits that perhaps we would probably look to see if we could add. There's no mention of members in terms of stakeholder management, communication. It's all about obviously the business continuity, but actually through risk communication, would you engage and specifically list how you engage members?
Yeah, I think there's an interlinking here between the emergency plan. So if we were dealing with this as an emergency, even though the business continuity plan, all the who, where, and what bit isn't the emergency plan, but I think as you talked about when you considered the emergency plan, there needs to be explicit links across, and so I think that's probably the next step in terms of if this is now approved or shortly to be approved, we can then just cross-reference it on that. We'll have a look through the member bit in terms of business continuity. There is quite a lot of members in the emergency plan, but again, we'll probably just cross-reference that. We'll make sure it appears in both in appropriate place.
Thank you. Councillor Watson.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Sorry, I forgot one. There was also a question in there, and I saw it in one of the sections, but not in the other sections around the actual testing of it. When do we test it in that? When and how would we test it in anger? And I know it's always a kind of debate about, do we really want to actually kind of switch stuff off or do stuff to see what happens? But until you do it, you don't know. So I wonder if there's a.
Chair, if I may, we started training on the emergency management plan, which a number of colleagues were at last week, and we are moving towards a sort of walk through, which is, oh no, the plane has gone, but then we will move to a no notice, you can't be in the building, or you haven't got the ITs, so we're a little way off that. But in terms of business continuity, streetscape, sorry, operations, refuse and recycling have already used theirs because they needed it in the first week of January when they couldn't do all the bins because of the stuff, and it's gone through a second iteration because none of these things survive contact with the enemy, as they say, in terms of we learned things from that occasion. So yeah, that was an actual run through. But certainly, I think part of the issue when we talked to Cognisis on the IT stuff is exactly that. In terms of, you haven't got a computer today, what are you going to do? What your plan is? So yeah, that's the change we're working towards.
Councillor Barney.
I just wanted to echo that it's great that we're finally getting some traction on this. I do have quite a few points on the IT stuff, but that's all in P&C, so we'll come back to that later on.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions or quick comments, I'll move it from the chair. Seconded by Councillor Simpson. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Item number 9 is the local council tax support scheme for 2026-27. This report provides details of the proposed local council tax support scheme for 2026-27. The scheme specifies the classes of people who will qualify for a reduction in their council tax liability, and the scheme must reflect the updated regulations. Any comments? No, we'll move that from the chair then, seconded by Councillor Simmons. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item number 10, it's the S13A brackets 1 brackets C policy. Section 13 of the Local Government Act. Local Government Finance Act 1992 provides the council must adopt a scheme for further assistance with regard to the amount of council tax payable by individuals. The council's existing policy has been reviewed and no changes are suggested for the 26-27 scheme. I'll move from the chair then, seconded by Councillor Simmons. All those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous again, thank you. Item number 11 is the non-domestic rates policy for rate relief 2026. This report seeks approval of the council's non-domestic rates policies for rate relief for the 2026-27 financial year. There are a large number of business rate reliefs, some of which are mandatory and prescribed by the government. The council must have a scheme in respect of the discretionary reliefs, and the report recommends a draft policy for member approval. Any, Councillor Simpson?
Move the recommendations, John.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Simmons. All those in favour? Thank you. Item number 12 is the hardship payment crisis resilience fund. The council has previously been required to operate a hardship payment scheme in respect of housing costs. From April, that scheme will come to an end and it will be incorporated into the new crisis resilience fund that will largely be administered by county and unitary councils. However, housing payment strand of the crisis resilience fund continues to be administered by this council for the next 2 years. Council therefore is required to adopt a policy governing the eligibility and policy objectives for these payments, and the draft policy appended to this report remains the same as in previous years. Anybody got any comments, questions?
Move it, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clues. Moved by councillor Crew, seconded by councillor Simmons. All those in favour? That's unanimous again, thank you. Item number 13 is the minutes of the Safer Communities Subcommittee on the 12th of January 2026. Anybody? No. I'll move that from the chair then, seconded by councillor Bell. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Item number 14 is the exclusion of the public and press to consider whether in accordance with section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, excuse me, the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by Schedule 12A to the Act. I'll move, seconded by councillor Simmons. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you.